And we were super happy about that because one of the things that one of the things that you and I have in common, our industries also have in common, is the fact that we live, as you said, we live our lives through others. Because when I'm coaching someone, I'm in that person's world. Like, oftentimes, I'm in their marriage, I'm in the relationship with their kids, I'm in the relationship with their parents, I'm in their business, I'm in their workplace, and I'm like living like you, right? Like as an avatar in their world. And I'm constantly thinking about like what they want to accomplish, what they want to achieve, how they want to grow, what their goals are. That I also have to, as you said, I also have to take a step back and remember. It's like, well, wait a minute, like I've got my own family, I've got my own goals, right? Like outside of the professional landscape, I also have goals that I want to make sure that I'm taken care of. I want to travel places, I want to do this with my wife, I want my kid to also experience that. Adventurers, and welcome to another episode of the Academy for Adventurers podcast. I'm your host, Mauro Schiavo, and today our wonderful guest is JC. I call him JC, but Jean-Claude Bien-Ami. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Mauro. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. So, let's go ahead and read your bio. Okay. So, Jean-Claude Bien-Ami is a photographer, but specifically, he's a corporate photographer. His work has spanned over 25 years as an illustrator, graphic designer, and web designer. Now he's the proud owner of Bien-Ami Studio. He has a passion for visual storytelling, which I know firsthand, and a commitment to excellence. This father of four, wow, four kids, has dedicated himself to delivering exceptional photographic and video production services tailored to meet the unique needs of corporate clients. Welcome to the podcast, JC.
Thank you. Thank you, Mauro.
So I
And
always,
the
yeah, go
four
ahead.
kids, I just want to mention the four kids count as three because the two in the middle are twins. It's a BOGO.
Yeah, it's a BOGO. It's interesting because you just answered the question that I was going to ask you, because I always like to ask a question from the bio. I was going to ask you about how it's like having four kids. so, so you got a BOGO there. Yeah.
I got a BOGO. I went into Publix, came out with two. So,
For those of you that don't live in the US or in the southeast of the United States, Publix is a very well known grocery store chain down here. And they have a lot of buy one, get one free deals. Yeah. So that's the funny thing.
yeah, because we didn't know we were going to get two until the end. We were like, oh, okay.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, man. You know, I only have one kid, but I chose to keep the sex a surprise. So I didn't know if it was a boy or a girl literally until he was coming out of my wife's, my wife's body. It was a surprise for me. Yeah. None
That's
of us knew. Yeah.
I think this is the way it should be. I think, with technology, we always tend to interfere with the normal progress and stuff. I mean, we can wait, have patience, wait. It's a surprise. The fact that you're giving birth is that's a present. It's such a beautiful thing, and it's like we're always trying to okay, will he be smart, will he be tall, will he, all these extra stuff. Let nature be itself, you know and it's just a thing that we I think we're always interfering. We should stop that.
Yeah. We have, because of what you said, everything now is, it's like everyone wants everything yesterday. And with all the information, with all the technology, like you mentioned, there just seems to be no room for surprise anymore. And that was that was the reason why I told my wife, I'm like, look, like we barely have any surprises anymore. So at the very least, I want my child to be a surprise. I don't want to know if it's a boy or a girl. I really don't. And by the way, I told her it's not just this one. If God blesses us with more children, I don't want to know any of them. No, I don't. I really don't. I really don't. Because I think it's so I was having a conversation, and I promise it's going to get to a point. I was having a conversation with my best friend, and my wife and I were watching a series together. And it's a very well known series. It's an anime series, Japanese series called Attack on Titan. And my wife, it's one of those shows where it's like every episode it ends on a cliffhanger, and you're just like, it's constantly like building this angst and this anticipation to know what's coming, what's next. And my wife, it's like every episode, it's like, I want to know what happens. I want to know what happens. And I was like telling her, it's like, I'm gonna Google the answer. And I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that, because there's something about the art of anticipation. And that's what my friend said. Is like, I told him about what she said, and then when he came to visit us at our home, we both sat down with her, and he told her, it's like, Luby, it's like, there's something about being able to stay in tension. Like, allow life, allow the art of anticipation, allow tension to just simmer within you. Because there's something about that, because then when you do get the answer, it's that much sweeter. And I want to ask you about that in relation to photography, because even when I was a kid, it was still very common that you would buy those Kodak cameras, you'd go to the pharmacy and you'd take a picture, and until you developed the film, you had no idea how the shot came out. And I remember as a kid, like, the excitement of, like, oh, I wonder
Yeah,
how the pictures came out, you know?
right, right.
And
Because it
like,
didn't come
oh, yeah,
right away. Right.
yeah,
You had to wait and you had to fade it a little bit. You're like, let me see, let me see. I remember
yeah.
that.
So how tell me about tell me about the surprises and the excitement of the adventure of being a photographer, because I imagine you must get a lot of very interesting reactions from people because you're present with them in many important moments of their life, both personally and professionally.
That's a really good question. That is a very good question because I was thinking about that. A lot of time I'm spending moments with people in their lives, right? And special moments, not just any moment. Because when you think about hiring a photographer, it's a momentous occasion. Either someone's getting married, or there's a funeral, or there's birth, or it's a happy anniversary. All special occasion that requires uh, um, a moment for everyone to gather together and celebrate, right? And I I do spend a lot of time with other people, and it just hit me. It was just even yesterday. I was thinking, I'm spending a lot of time with everyone else. How about me? Maybe I should be spending time with my family, right? Because I'm living my life through other people, right? And I'm trying not to veer off too much for your
No,
question.
that's okay. We like to veer off here. We
Yeah,
like
that,
to go off the beaten path.
right, 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 right. I the thing about that is you just never know about where those moments might go, you know.
Mm.
And I enjoy spending time with other people, right? And I enjoy spending in celebrating with my clients. It makes me so happy when they hire me and they say, you know what? I want you to capture this, but I also take it as I want you to be part of this, right? And it's really special, and I always appreciate that, and I'm very thankful that people are willing to let me uh, uh, witness, capture, and participate in their celebration. But as far as for anticipation, I'm trying to see how I can answer that question. But
Mm,
yes, you just never know uh, which call that might come in and
yeah.
what might happen. I go to great length to make sure that my photo shoot are perfect. And that means going to location, scouting the location, looking at the time, thinking about what's going to happen, and try to wrap it all within 1 hour. You know,
Mm,
make it almost seamless from the moment that they call to the moment that they receive the photography. All of that is so important that the whole uh, user experience with me is a very good experience, right? And what I've learned is when you do the hard work ahead of time, right? And you do all the research and you're very strict and detailed about every little thing and you're micromanage all these little things that could happen. Is it going to rain? If it rains, where do we go? If it's looking at the weather, looking at the location, looking at the time, looking, all these little things is so important. And I found out that when you do those things, it becomes seamless. And when the client doesn't know that everything is working so well that you did all this work, this is a good thing. You know, they show up, smile, they leave, everything's good, and they get the photos perfect. They didn't know I did all these extra 10, 20 steps. And that's a good thing because
yeah.
um, that means it's seamless and it worked, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and I remember when you've done some of the corporate events that we did and I received the photos from you, I was just flabbergasted at just how many shots you got, and how many different angles.
right.
And we were super happy about that because one of the things that one of the things that you and I have in common, our industries also have in common, is the fact that we live, as you said, we live our lives through others. Because when I'm coaching someone, I'm in that person's world. Like oftentimes I'm in their marriage, I'm in the relationship with their kids, I'm in the relationship with their parents, I'm in their business, I'm in their workplace, and I'm like living like you, right? Like as an avatar in their world. And I'm constantly thinking about like what they want to accomplish, what they want to achieve, how they want to grow, what their goals are. That I also have to, as you said, I also have to take a step back and remember it's like, well, wait a minute, like I've got my own family, I've got my own goals, right? Like outside of the professional landscape, I also have goals that I want to make sure that I'm taken care of. I want to travel places, I want to do this with my wife, I want my kid to also experience that. So it's interesting how, from the coaching angle, there's a lot of similarities between your industry and mine because we're constantly living in other people's worlds, and we're constantly preoccupied with what they want to be special, like their milestones in life. It's very interesting. That was one of the first things I thought about as you mentioned that to me. Now, I have the pleasure of having experienced your work personally, and we're going to put some examples of your work as much as we can in our videos and content as we
Thank you.
produce this. But the other thing that you and I have in common is that both your industry and mine are are super saturated. I mean, there are more photographers and videographers and coaches than anyone can count. So one of my favorite questions that I love to ask professionals that are in industries that are saturated is what's their secret sauce? Like what sets them apart? What is their game changer that makes them like, if I'm looking for this, I gotta get JC. Like, because JC's got that. What am I looking for, JC? What do you got?
Okay, there's several things. Your question is so massive. I'm gonna try to
Take your time, bro.
answer it. So one of the things I always think about, because you always get a call from a client, and a client is very interested in you. They got a referral. Someone said, "Hey, look, I got your name through Stephanie or somebody, right? And I wanted to talk to you about your services, right?" And then you give them your spiel, and then you think about, okay, am I getting to them, or are they still shopping around? And you wonder, there's a little part of you, and you're asking yourself, will they still be shopping after they talk to you, or are you convincing enough, right? And I've gotten to a part where I'm confident within myself. With part of it is confidence, right? And the way you sell yourself, and the way you sound, um, I used to be so scared of losing that client. So if a call comes in, I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to lose this client. Even as small as the amount of money I will make, I didn't want to lose that client." And I think it was just a block in my brain that just said, I didn't want to be rejected, right?
Right.
And then you try to do whatever it takes to get them to buy into your story. But a lot of times they don't. And
Yeah.
sometimes they say, "Okay, thank you. I'll look at everything and then I'll get back at you." And it's usually because I give them a price, right?
Yeah.
The price is too much or it's too high. They're still shopping around. What do
Yeah.
you do?
What do you
So,
do? Yeah. What do you do?
so
Yeah.
what I'm saying about that is you don't fight that.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
there's two things in your business that I think we all should know. One is your value of what you bring to the table.
Hmm.
Two, you have to know the marketplace. The marketplace is, where are you in the football field? Are you at the 10-yard line, or are you at the 20-yard line, or are you at the 50-yard line? Where are you in the marketplace? Are you that experienced that you can charge as much? Then by all means charge as much. If you're not that experienced, go back a little bit,
Dial it back.
humble yourself, price accordingly, and sell yourself that way, right? I'm at the point in my life now where I know the value that I bring to the table. How do I know that? Because I've looked at the marketplace. I looked at the marketplace. I've looked at what people are offering. What am I offering? And I make a comparisons. Can I do the same thing this other photographer do? Okay, check. Um, can I show up on time? Mm, check. Are your prices competitive? That's could be a check or maybe minus. And you go down the list of all these things, and whichever you don't have checked off, you zero in on those, your weakness, right? And then from there, you can become better. They always say better yourself at your craft, right? But I also say put on the business hat. If you're a creative person or whatever in business, you got to wear the business hat, and then you also got to do your service at the greatest value, right? And to me, I've found out that I'm in a sea full of photographers. And the difference with me and other photographers is the value that I bring. And it's such a vague thing to say. It's like, okay, what does value mean? It's such a terrible thing because nobody can measure that, right? But I know that I can show up on time. I know I'm very professional. I dress for the occasion, and my photography, I know exactly how to photograph, right? I know it needs to be sharp. I know it needs to have the right color. I know it needs to be balanced, and I know the subject to take photos of. And I can go down the list of so many things. But if you're in business, these are the checklists that you have to do, right? And if you are bringing these things to the marketplace, I tell you what, you don't have to fear anybody. You do not have to fear anybody. There's enough work for everyone out there. There's enough work for everyone out there.
There's more than enough. Yeah.
It,
That's
and
one of
the,
the things that I learned too as an entrepreneur is that, we're both you and I, we live in an environment, we live in a country where the economy, like there's so much abundance financially here that there's no need to have a scarcity mindset. And you and I had that in common as well. I remember being so afraid of like losing the prospect, and sometimes there were times where I did, you know but I quickly learned, like you, is I just focused on, can I, like, one of the most important questions that I've learned to ask myself. I got this from my coach Berta Garcia, and also Tony Robbins talks about this a lot, is, how can I provide massive value to this client? How
love,
can I make it so unreasonable for them to say no? You
love,
know,
yes,
like, because one of the things that you and your industry and my industry has in common is that there's a lot of things that we can do that cost us nothing. Like, what's the difference between giving someone 20 photos and 40? It's like very minimal difference,
right,
because most of the time and I'm not, you can tell me more, but most of the time you're taking 5 shots of the same picture, but maybe there's the third or the fourth one just happens to get the lighting a particular way, or the glint in someone's eye happens to be like 10% better in the fourth one versus the third. But you can let the client decide. Like, I can't tell you how many times, like, my wife will say, no, take another one, take five. Like, you can do that because, click, 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 and it's like there's so many things that you can do that probably don't cost you much, but the client on the other side of the equation, like, wow, like this guy went above and beyond. You know?
right, right. Well, let me mention something about that.
Yeah.
When you take a ton of photos, they call that spray and pray, right? Because you don't want to miss anything. Like, I'm gonna get everything,
Yeah.
but that's an amateurish indication. Yes,
It's
yes,
interesting. Oh, I
yeah,
didn't know that.
yes.
Interesting.
Uh, the term spray and pray is it. I'm gonna throw out as many fishnet as possible to catch at least one fish.
That one fish, yeah.
That one, that one golden picture. But what happens in post production when I get home? I have 1,000 photos to go through versus a few, like 100 or two. And 1,000 photos to go through, and the client needs the photos in 3 days. In fact, maybe the next day. Good luck. You're going to go one by one, 1,000 photos. You're already tired from coming from a
Doing
four
the
or
shoot,
5 hour,
right?
and now you're downloading 1,000. That takes a little bit of time. Uploading 1,000. Now you gotta go one by one and look at which one. Oh my God! If I had hair, gone.
It suits you though. That's the good thing. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I
Yeah.
had hair a couple of hours ago, but I was thinking about this. So, but
Yeah,
I
and it
tell
suits you. It suits
you,
you, man. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
what I do now is I'm more conscious of the photo. I would take maybe 3 photos or less, and that's still something I'm still developing to improve on, and to get a better photograph. But I know exactly what you're saying. What we're looking about at 2 o'clock in the morning when we're editing, we have 4 or 5 of the same picture, and the third one is the one.
The
Why?
third one's the right one.
Because of that expression. Because the other one she was looking away. The other one she wasn't smiling. The third one is the one where she's really smiling and present, and everyone's looking. That's the shot.
That's the shot. Yeah.
That's the shot. And really, the other two you throw away. But photographers like you and I, we spend half an hour trying to figure out which one. What? It's terrible. And we're looking at the same one, and maybe, they're almost the same, and maybe the little difference is just a head turn like this or something. And it's imagine doing that for 1,000 photos, you know.
It's
So
exhausting.
it's exhausting. So I'm more intentional now, and
Mm,
I am, even though click 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 is free, um, I'm more intentional in making sure I get the right photo when it's time, and I do that by talking to the client and waiting, and then gotcha,
yeah,
you know, and then I try again. It's more intention and stuff. So those little things make a difference and stuff, and that
yeah,
means, what does that mean? That means I have less photos. That means I can get the photos back to you faster. That means I can edit that one photo and it's perfect and it's already done.
there it is. Well,
And
that's there it is. So that's one of the ways that you deliver value, because there's so many different ways to deliver value, but the
yes,
most the most important the most important way of delivering value is delivering the value that your client is looking for. And that is an art, because like you say, maybe the value for this client is a turnaround time, right? Maybe the value for this client is the volume of pictures. Maybe the value for this client is, it's the
right,
customer experience. For me,
yeah,
that's super important, because for me, on the other end of the camera, we had our wedding out of state, so unfortunately we had to go with somebody else, because I remember you were the first person in my mind, but since we did it out of state, we had to, it is what it is, right? So
you have to do it again. Bring
I
it
have
back.
to get married again in Florida. Yeah, so honestly, if it were up to me, I'd have a wedding every year, because it's just so dang fun, but for me, I remember, I'm thinking to myself, the memories that I have, it's not just the photos themselves, the shoot. Like, I'm gonna remember, like, how did he treat me? Was it fun? Was it fun to have the pictures taken? Was I in a good mood? Like, did they make it interactive? Like, for me as a client, that was important for me. Like, making sure that the experience was fun. Like, working with someone that was gonna be, like, fun to deal with.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
know, so that
Yes.
that for me was, other people might not care about that, but I cared about that.
Right.
So that's super important, because you're a part of that person's most important moments sometimes in
Yes.
life, what we talked about earlier.
Yes. Yes. I mean, you can make it or break it for a couple. You know, I know that, and I know I have the power to make that experience really good or mediocre or just very like bland. And I do my best to make whatever uh, event as memorable as possible. Either me not engaging and not interrupting that event and just staying far away as possible, or engaging in making something, because you always can tell when the environment has tension or don't have tension, or maybe it needs more excitement. And I interject whenever I can, but the story is not about me. The story is about the people that are being photographed. And I always remember that it's not about the photographer. I'm not coming in there to do a photo shoot of myself. It's about them. And I want to make them and highlight them the most, which is uh, these are the things that I think about all the time. Um, there are just a host of different things that photographers do to bring value. When I'm there, there's some photo. There are times when people don't want to be photographed, and I have to get them excited. and
Yeah,
and
we
and
all have someone like that in the family, that it's like the one person that just really hates, like,
yeah, and that's cool. And I say, don't worry, I'm gonna come back for you. You can't escape. You're here tonight. And
I'm
then
gonna come back for you, I'm coming.
yeah, I'm a paparazzi. I'll come out the bushes. I'll be like, click. And they love that, they laugh, and then I always get at least one photograph or something because you never know when people don't show up for a party or whatever, and they dress up the one time in the year, and they dress up really nice. It may not look like that, but man, if you're gonna dress up that one time, I'm gonna photograph it, and I want
My
to.
my mother-in-law is like that. She doesn't
Yeah,
dress up fancy. She's very casual.
yeah,
But yeah, for our wedding, she had a beautiful dress, and it's like it was so nice for me as her son-in-law to see how
yeah.
she made the effort to look like that for her daughter and myself. Like
That's
that's it.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you may
So
not
it's
you may
nice.
not
Yeah,
see
she
her.
did her makeup and everything, man. She's a very casual woman, and she
Wow,
looks nice.
wow.
So when she goes above and beyond, it's like wow, like
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least for me, it felt special. Yeah.
No, and I think it's important because she may not want to dress up like that for a long while, and you may
Yeah,
not get her to dress like that for a long, long while. So, hey, the moment is right. Be present, take that picture and capture it.
yeah,
I think it's so important to capture those moments because all in our life, that's all we have. That's all we have. We have now. Forget about the future. Forget about tomorrow, and forget about what happened yesterday. It's only what we got right now in front of us.
I shared this on the last episode of the podcast, but it's something that I think it's so appropriate for what you do and this conversation. And I'm gonna say the quote, and I'm gonna see if you know what movie it's from. But if you don't know, I'll tell you what it is. But if you do, it would be really fun. So the quote goes like this: Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift, and that's why they call it the present. It's a very good quote, huh?
Yes, yes. I don't know if it's Green Mile or if it's I know it. I'm thinking it's something with Tom Hanks, but go ahead, I won't hold you up.
Okay. It's not Tom Hanks. It's really funny. It's actually from Kung Fu Panda, the first Kung Fu Panda.
Oh my goodness, yes. Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
goodness.
it's a conversation between Oogway and Shifu, which I love the Kung Fu Panda films. They're very good family films. They're very enticing for children and adults alike. They're
Right.
very good films. Even all of them are fantastic.
I only
And,
saw
but
one and two.
yeah,
Yep.
you should see three and four. But they're fantastic films, and they hold up so nicely. Even the original Kung Fu Panda came out like woo, like
10
more than
years ago?
15 years ago at this point.
Shoot.
And it just holds up so nicely. Jack Black
Wow.
is masterful. Jack Black and Jackie Chan
Awesome.
and they're all
He's in
wonderful
there?
films.
Jackie Chan's in there? Of course
Jackie
he's in there.
Chan's in there. Jackie Chan is the voice of I forget the character's name, but it's the
He's not
monkey.
the bad guy, right?
It's the monk. No, it's the monkey actually. Yeah, it's the monkey. Yeah, he's one of the Fantastic Five. They call him, or the Fabulous
Oh,
Five. Yeah. Um, but anyways, that that what you said is so important and powerful because well, one of the things I like to think about, and I want to get your thoughts on this, is one of the things I reflect on a lot is is a lot of the older images. So the photographs that were taken, say for example, like in the late 18th century.
black and
I'm
white.
sorry, the late 19th century, like late 1800s, early 1900s, like early 20th century, and you see how it wasn't still commonplace for people to smile, so they just had these like blank stares. But
Yes.
but what's so fascinating to me is that we live in an era where now like we can look back and we can like we there like that photograph, it captured a specific moment in time. And one of the things that I love to ask myself when I look at photos is like, what were they thinking? Like, what were they going through? And like, I know for a fact that at least with portraits, portraits were typically back then, especially, they were only done for special events like a christening, a baptism, the birth of a child,
Mm.
the purchase of a home. You know, now photographs are just like, you take a photograph of your meal at the Cheesecake Factory, right? But it's like, but even now, like photography is such an art form. Like what I don't know, like when you reflect on photography as an art form, like what is the beauty of that to you? Like what comes to mind when you think about the more artistic aspects of what you do?
Well, I can say that I'm not as educated for the arts of photography. I'll be honest about that, because I recently just joined doing photography, and I've done a lot of stuff more commercial, and a lot of things are just paid gigs, and it's not really the art form. And sad to say, but I love the fact that you bring that up because I have a lot to learn about the art form for photography. I know there are different photographers out there. There's one photographer that I know, Robin Hill. I love his work. He does architecture photography, and just being in his presence, you learn so much, right? Um, and there's some of the great other photographers that I need to learn about. One of the things that I know I need to learn on is lights, how light changes,
Lighting. Yeah.
lighting. But my background is in illustration painting. And
Okay.
one of the things that photographers always talk about is uh, um, mis saying it. It's the Rembrandt lighting, right? And the Rembrandt lighting is where one side of the face is really dark, and then this part of the cheek kind of shows up lit. And there's this type of uh, the lighting is like a quarter of your face lit up. And
Interesting.
Rembrandt used to paint this way, right? And it became such a thing of a term now that photographers use that, and they say, let's get the Rembrandt lighting, right? Where it's kind of like you have one spotlight. If I were to turn off my light, all of a sudden the light would be very harsh, and the side of my
Right.
face would be
Right.
darker,
Right.
and
Right.
only my cheek would show up, but the rest of my face here will be in darkness, and that gives you that kind of uh, um, three-dimensional look. Versus a lot of commercial work is everything is lit up, everything's flat, and you know, I um, I have a lot to learn about that. I have to say, um, there's so much that that's there that I wouldn't do justice to be able to speak about it and stuff.
Well, thank you for your honesty, though. It's still good. I mean, I think one of the most important things that I love to hear from people is the fact that their journey is ongoing. Their
It's ongoing.
adventure
Yeah,
is still happening. It's
right.
not something that happened before and they're just kind of standing on the other side of it being like, yeah, like this is how it was. No, it's like this is how it is. This is how it's going. and and yeah, that's it's beautiful to me because what that tells me is, you're someone that is looking to grow and looking to continue to learn and excel. And the fact that you can name techniques and that like, okay, that this is what you need to get to the next level. That's, to me, that's always important because
Yeah.
I love to know that people are still in it. They're not like in some mystical place. I got there. It's like, no, I'm still going,
Still
Yeah,
growing. Yeah.
yeah,
You
still
know,
growing. Still
I
growing. Yeah.
I actually want to go back to your first question about
Go.
I think the anticipation when you mentioned that you didn't know the sex of your child, right? I
Mm-hmm,
think
mm-hmm.
that in itself is such a beautiful thing. When we're born with no knowledge, right? You think about that, and you think about the universe. You think about all of the universe. We don't even know what's out. How could we know what's out there? And even if we were to attempt to learn, our life wouldn't give us that ability. And even if you think about, okay, we're going to come up with a great ship to travel like light speed, which is the fastest thing that we know of. Even that, we wouldn't be able to live long enough to know some of the secrets of the universe, right? And so I think there is a beauty of not knowing, but then the life that we have is the journey to know and to learn and to discover. I think life is about discovering, not about arriving. It's about the journey. It's not about, you know, once I get to this point, then everything's going to be good. No, it's your journey. You met this person, enjoy that person, learn from that person, stay with that person, master what that person's teaching you, get to the next level, then that becomes your new journey. And then the whole timeline of you learning is a beautiful thing, much like Kung Fu Panda, right?
Yeah,
Where your present is so much more important than what happened in the past and what's about to happen in the future. Because right now is right now. Right
yeah,
now is when you're learning, you know, because we don't know if we're going to be here in the next 5 minutes. And what happened yesterday cannot be changed. You know,
yeah,
there is a balance of knowing what happened to the past, and there's a balance of what we know the future uh, uh, can hold. But the present is so much richer. You know, you and me talking
yeah.
right now, this is more important than anything. You know.
Well, that's so. I've learned that unfortunately, when you're on YouTube and you have a platform like this, people love to misconstrue what you say, or they love
Mm,
to just like pick out a little portion. I've seen it's already happened to me, believe it or not.
really?
Even as a small, oh yeah, even as a small
Wow.
creator, it's already happened to me. Well, you'd be so yeah, it's very interesting. But so like people will say things like, "Oh, but like if like so let's take this conversation for example. They'll say, "Oh, but like does that mean that I don't plan? Does that mean that my future doesn't matter?" It's like, "No, of course not. Of course your future matters." Like no one's saying that you don't plan your life. Like no one's saying that you don't have goals for tomorrow or next week or next month or next year. No one's saying that, but it's so important because if you if you constantly live in the future,
Mm,
you're never going to be satisfied because it's
you're
always
not
like
present.
you're not present, number one.
You're
And I
not
think
present.
that that's one of the beautiful things that photography does is that photography shows you something that was. It
Mm,
showed you a present moment,
I
right?
love that.
And all of us have that experience of looking back. It's like, man, I remember that day, or like I remember that place, and it's so beautiful to me because one of the gifts that we have as human species, as being these creatures that we are, is that we have that. They have the ability. It's like I remember like how many conversations that we've had. Like my wife and I said, "Oh, I remember that. I remember that picture. Oh, do you remember when we walked there?" It's like so that's so beautiful to me. And so I think there's a healthy place for both nostalgia and there's a healthy place for also what's to come. That's where anticipation comes from, right? But everything that you feel, everything that you experience, it's happening now. And I remember one of the biggest lessons I learned from one of my coaches, Steve Chandler. He says, "Do not hold your happiness hostage." It's like,
Mm,
I'll be happy when X. I'll be happy when Y. I'll be happy when Z,
mm,
whatever.
mm.
But if you live life like that, you never have any joy. But I
Wow.
think that photography has that very unique element to it that it's like you can just slow down and look at not even a second, at an instant, at a picosecond, whatever it is, the smallest measurable time is. It's like you're looking at a moment in time.
Mm,
You know, and you have to slow down your pace of life to like that moment of time where that photo was taken. And and I think that's the reason why that phrase is so powerful. Like they'll say a picture's worth a thousand words. It's like
yes,
absolutely,
yes,
because you can just look at that image and be like, wow, like this
yeah,
is you know this
right,
is
right,
what's going on. What's
absolutely.
going
Absolutely.
on there. Yeah.
Let me ask you, how did you feel because you didn't know the sex of your baby, right? How did you feel the moment in the present of that moment when uh, your wife was delivering your son or your daughter? You know,
It
am I,
was.
am I touching?
I'm
Sorry.
gonna cry. No, not at all. It was absolute joy. It
There
was
you
it
go.
was just there was nothing like it, man. I
Wow.
mean, I would not. I would have robbed myself of something so beautiful by allowing myself to wait. And
Right.
and I have a story to share. I've shared the story before, but I'll share it again. And the OBGYN was so moved because
Wow.
he could tell. He cried too.
He was moved because of you.
He was moved because of me,
Wow.
because of my so that's what I tell people. Like you have no idea, like when you share experiences with someone like I think that's why firsts are so powerful. It's like the first time you do X, anything. Like the first time you go to Italy, the first time you
Yes.
go to Disney, the first time you buy a car. It's like
Ride a bike.
you
Yes.
share whatever.
Yes.
Whatever experience you share with someone the first time, that is a very, very, very impactful moment. You know? And so one of the joys of parenting is that you get to experience that kid's first everything. It's so beautiful. And so
Everything.
that OBGYN, Carlos Rodriguez in South Florida, fantastic doctor. He was so moved because he could tell that he and I were even though he's delivered thousands of babies, he could tell that this one delivery was different than the rest. Because he said, I usually don't cry during deliveries, but
Wow.
your emotional response was so evocative that he couldn't help it. He told me
Wow.
I couldn't help it. And you know what he did is he actually he said a white lie to the hospital staff, and he said, these guys are my personal friends, give them the room with the ocean view, you know
Nice.
so we were spoiled. Yeah,
Wow.
he wouldn't have done that if it wouldn't have been for that moment that we got to share. So
It
this is
was.
why I tell people, like, don't you know what
Don't
pisses
rob
me off.
yourself.
Don't exactly. Do you know what pisses me off is when I go to restaurants and you see couples, you see friends, you see families, and they're all on their phones. I hate that because you're not only robbing yourself of an authentic experience, you're robbing everyone else at that table. And wait, you're also killing, at least for me, in part, you're killing the vibe for everyone else because
100.
how many times have you walked into a room and like the energy's palpable, like how many times do you go somewhere and it's like the environment, the ambiance, it's either dead or it's hopping,
Yes.
and I've had the experience of going places where everyone is like having a great time, and it's like even if you're having a bad day, you can't help but have a good time too because
Yes.
you're just feeding off of the energy of everybody else.
Love it.
You
Yes.
know,
Yep. Yep.
there's this one restaurant in South Florida. It has a very cute name. It's called Dolores, but you can call me Lolita. And it's in Miami. And
Okay.
I love that restaurant because they have a rule, they have a thing in the center of every table, and it says put your phones here. and the
Ooh,
first person to touch their phones has to pay the bill. I love it. So everyone's got to put their phone in the middle. I love that because what that does is that forces everyone to just be present. You
love
know?
it. Love it.
Yeah.
That's
Robbing people of life.
yes. No,
Yeah.
it really is. I mean, uh, going back to Panda Express, Panda Express.
Panda Express or Kung Fu Panda?
You can see what I'm thinking about, right?
This was a paid promotion for for Panda Express.
Oh, oh my goodness, terrible, terrible. But I mean, you know,
That's fine, bro. It's funny.
no, I know. But really, I, I have my kids, and I cannot tell you how many times I can never get a decent conversation with them. All four of them. I have my daughter who literally is just walking with her phone, and I'm talking about walking down the stairs. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Put away the phone. It's such a problem now. It's such a problem. I would love it if I'm starving for conversation. I'm starving for like the way we're talking one on one, where you're completely focused at me and I'm completely focused on you and we're having a conversation. Can we have something like that? I don't know with my kids. My kids are just they're caught up in their phones. And
Yeah.
it's like that. I've gone to restaurants where that's the norm. It's just man, and it's very difficult to have any real relationships now. I mean, I think that's going to be a big thing. Like, and this is the thing that I do in my photography. When I'm there, man, I'm present. I put my phone away and I'm like
Yeah.
looking for people. I'm just looking around and I'm connecting and um and I tell you what, at the end of the night, you know what people say to me? Man, you're good. Those pictures came out good. I'm like, thank you. Because I
Yeah.
know what the pictures look like. And I said, wait a minute. I'm driving home. I'm like, wait a minute. They never even saw the pictures.
Yeah.
How come
Yeah.
they said that? And that's because I was present. And
Because you
because
were present.
I looked at them and I connected with them, you know? And it's like when you do that to someone, I challenge everyone who might be watching this.
Yes.
Connect with someone.
Yeah.
Connect with someone. Like really connect with someone. Don't just do it because, you heard me say this or something. No, connect with them. Like, don't ask a question waiting for yourself to respond. Ask a question and then listen. Like really listen. Connect with someone. Man, that can change your life. And you know what? You might get some really interesting conversation. You might even get the answers of the universe by someone. And you may think this person has nothing to offer.
Right.
Ask the question.
One of the most exciting moments that I had was actually during a very, very difficult period of life where my wife and I were making very little money, and we made the sacrifice for my wife to study full time for a medical exam that she had to take, and we took a huge financial hit.
That must have been
But
tough.
I got to tell you, man, I mean, one of the things that I did to make up the financial hole gap that was left was I started driving Uber and Lyft.
Mm,
And I got to tell you, man, some of the best conversations I had were with complete strangers. You know,
really?
absolutely. Just
Wow.
talking with the passenger in the back seat or talking with the family. Like one time I'm not sad I passed up on it. I think I made the right call. But just to give you an example, like there was one time where there were these three like college age guys. And back then I was like 28, so it wasn't like a big age gap, you know?
Okay.
It was like maybe 4 or 5 years at most, you know?
Okay, so you can relate.
And they're like, yeah, so it's like I could have fit in with them, right? But like these three guys came from Michigan and they were like partying here in South Florida.
They wanted you
And
to
they're
go.
like, dude, like Do you want to come with us? And I'm like, bro, like that would be super fun. Like I wish, but like I got a wife back home. Like I gotta go back home. You know, but like to me
Big
it's
picture
like
for you.
it was just so interesting because the guy they just met, like their freaking driver, like they somehow connected with me so much that they wanted me to like join them for the party. You know,
Wow.
it's like they had
Wow.
like a cooler that was like full of like Bud, like Budweiser, and like, hey, dude, like you want to park the car and like come with us?
I
And
love
I'm like,
that.
bro, like that would be so fun, but like don't take this the wrong way, but I gotta go home, man. You know, but like, but it's like that's what life can
Complete
offer
freedom.
you if you just connect with someone.
Yeah.
You know, like just
Yes.
connect. And look, let me tell you, man, I work with a lot of young people. So like I'm very in touch with like the problems of today. Like I'm talking about like I work with 13-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds. So I'm very in touch with like what younger people are facing.
The challenges.
And like they're just so socially awkward. And I work with special needs kids too, which is even like more. It's like, some of these guys they have like heavy ADHD. Some of them are autistic. Some of them have other things. And they just like they have a hard time with things like eye contact, and they have a hard time with small talk. And it's like I get it, but you gotta try, man. You have
Yeah.
to try. Like, oh, but what do
Absolutely.
I say? Say something. Oh, but what if
Yeah.
I get embarrassed? Okay, I promise you'll get better at it. It's like
Yeah.
I tell people, it's
Yeah.
like people look at me now and I tell them that I was like this overweight 13-year-old with acne that had no social skills and no confidence. And like, you? I don't believe you. I'm like, you want to see the picture? I'll show you the pictures,
Mm.
like, so it's like, I can understand people because of what I do and what I've been through, but you have to try. Like you have to.
Have to.
Because what's the alternative?
Yep.
Like you're gonna just give up? It's like hell
And let life
no.
go
You're
by you.
18. How are you gonna
Yeah.
give up? It's like
Yeah.
what the hell? Like you're just getting started with life, dude. Like what are you gonna give
Yeah.
up?
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
yeah, So like I understand though, but you have to try, man. You have to try. You have to put yourself out there. Like that's part
Yeah.
of the fun. It's
Yeah.
like I remember sweating bullets asking a woman out on a date. Like I remember like going to the mall and like there was this cute girl and I was with two of my buddies. It was this cute girl that was working. I think she was working like on an Auntie Anne's or something. I think it was a pretzel store, whatever the pretzel place. And I was like, but man, like I walked up to her and I'm like, I don't even remember what I said, but I asked
But
her for her
very,
number and she said no. But you know what? But the fact that I did it, it's like I just felt my confidence just shoot through the roof after that.
absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
you got to try, man. You have to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
willing to bear the rejection.
Yeah. I think about what Gary V, the famous uh, social media influencer, right, talks about when this one lady asked her, "Hey, I'm going to be big one day," and then he stopped and said, "You're already big right now. You're
Mm,
already special."
mm.
And you can hear it in her voice, like, you know, um, and the thing that Gary V always says that always stays with me is that, hey, you're going to die one day. If that doesn't wake you up,
Nothing
you'll
will.
die one day. All those people that said no and you were worried about what they thought, you're never even going to see them again.
Yeah.
You never see them again after today. And here you are, you're worried about what they think. You're worried about what your people at your job think. You're worried about your classmates if you're going to embarrass yourself. You're going to worry about the way people look at you if you give a bad presentation. You're going to worry about the way you dress. And half of these people won't even remember you. And Gary Vee says, you're going to die one day. And guess what? You're going to look back and say, I wasted all my time thinking
People
about
please.
what they thought when I should have been smiling and enjoying myself, being present in the moment. I mean, man. When I think about that, I'm like, why would I ever waste any more 1 second of wasting time? Enjoy yourself, be present. You know, don't worry about the past, don't worry about the future. Don't, it's easy to say don't worry about what other people think. I know it's a challenge. I know it's a challenge. And to a certain extent, yes, you should be concerned about, how you appear because that's your brand. But man, you 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 have one life and you can waste
Look,
it.
man, the three most important decisions that I've made in my life that are consequently they're the most risky, but they're the most rewarding. The three best decisions I made in my life. Number one, starting my own business. Number two, getting married. Number three, having a kid. Like
Wow.
those are the single most important decisions I've ever made in my life. The most risky, but the most rewarding. Rewarding for different reasons. But the three things that people are most scared of are usually those things. It's like getting married, having a business, and like having a kid. Like people are terrified of that. And it doesn't mean that I had this magical antidote that I didn't feel the fear. It's like hell yes I did. I felt the fear.
Yes,
But
yes.
fortunately for me, I had enough faith in what was to come on the other side of that I bit the bullet on all three of those things. I bit the bullet. Because I'm always like, we'll figure it out later. Oh, how's this gonna go? We'll figure it out later. And that for me has been a very, very, very useful skill is having faith in knowing that the things that you're most scared of doing are going to be the things that consequently probably are going to give you the most reward. Probably.
Wow.
And it's like that is something that I know there's probably going to be a lot of young men that end up watching this, young women too,
Yeah.
but they're probably scared of the same three things.
Right.
But if you're watching this, man, man or woman, like if you're watching this, like you've gotta bite the bullet. Like, oh, but
Yes.
I don't have enough money. Bro, you'll figure it out. Because
Yes.
I have never made more money until now that I have a kid. I
Wow.
have never had more blessings now that I have a kid. My income went up twice
Wow.
in my life.
Wow.
Right after I got married and right after I had my baby. And the income is still growing. So
Wow.
it's like my point is that you want to make more money, you want to be more successful, get married and have kids. And the data and don't take my word for it. Look at the data. Look at the data. All
Yes.
the top data sources will tell you that if people who are married make more and people who are married and have kids make even more. So
Wow.
it's like there's sayings, cultural sayings, right? And I've heard different versions of it. But basically, it's like a Hispanic, Italian, other cultures have a very similar saying. And the saying basically means it's like the baby is going to be born with a golden loaf. You're somehow, some way,
I heard of
you're going to
that.
be blessed. And it's
Yes.
so true. It's
Right.
so true.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
true. Yeah.
You, it's really crazy. I think your dog was approving. I heard him in the
Yeah, I
background.
think the dog got upset because I'm not talking. It's my parents' dog.
Right, 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 right. No, but I think this is so profound because Jim Rohn says um, you have to try uh, either that or you going to sit in the corner and just have to have a comfortable life. No, being uncomfortable is life. The struggle is life, and I think the universe wants us, the universe, God, whoever, want us to struggle in order for the reward to be there. I think it's very important that we are not afraid to take that jump. It's so important to take that jump because if not, if you never take that jump, if you never take that chance, if you never think about rising up to the challenge, you will stay in a small life, and one day you'll look back and you'll say, "What if I did jump?" You know,
Yeah.
and then I can tell you, you have to jump. You have to jump. It doesn't matter because one way or another, life is about taking on those challenges. Because look what happened. I mean, the biggest reward comes when is most difficult. When you have the most difficult choice, should I leave the job? Should I change my career? Should I go after what I really love?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
now a lot of people will hear this and think it's black and white. No, no, no. Think about your situation, make a calculated decision, but you know, everyone's life is different, so there can never be a blank statement that covers everyone, so everyone has to make their
Yeah.
own choice, right?
Yeah.
But I believe, if there's a challenge, and that's I think Ryan Holiday, I think
Yeah.
says,
Ryan Holiday. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's always says the obstacle is the way.
The obstacle is the way. Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever is in your way, if that's a challenge, go straight for it. If you're afraid, then take on the fear. You
Yeah.
know, take on that
And
challenge.
and you're so right because there are no blanket statements, but I think that there are principles. There are
Yes,
principles that can always be applied to most situations, if not all. There are general principles that you can follow. And
follow.
I
Yes,
think that one of the general principles is you've got to face the fear. Now, how do you face that fear? There are people that they just got to bite the bullet and go all in. There's people that they do very well without a parachute. There's people that, like, yeah, it's like I would never have done this unless I was sleeping in my car. Or I never would have gone this far if I didn't think that I was going to go bankrupt. But then there's also situations where, like, you can do it. You know, that coach I told you about earlier that I had the pleasure of working with, Steve Chandler. He told me, Mauro, there's many ways of getting a ball down the football field. You can do short passes, you can throw a Hail Mary, you can run the ball, you can do all sorts of different plays. But as long as you're moving the ball down the field, it's fine.
love
Like,
that.
I think that, and one of the best people that I always turn people towards, and my clients and people watch the podcast also, are is the guy. It's James Clear. It's Atomic Habits. Because you don't always have to tackle everything all at once. Like, there's reasons why there are these idioms that we have. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Sometimes you do have to take it one bite at a time. There's no shame in that.
Yep,
Like, there's no, like, I have a client right now who he has this habit tracking app, and you know what he wrote down in the habit tracking app? It's like, show up to the gym. Not not work out, not lift weights, not be there for an hour. No, put on my shoes and walk through the door of the gym. That's what he's tracking,
I love
you know?
that.
And so it's like, but I've never worked out before. Oh, I'm scared. No problem. Like, can you go on Amazon? Can you purchase some workout shoes? Can you look at exercise clothes? Can you drive to a gym? Like, and by the way, there are so many stories of that. And what's funny is that the people that stick with it usually end up doing very well.
Very
You
well.
know?
Yeah,
So, oh, but that's so embarrassing. Oh, it's so minuscule. Look, if you're at zero, one of the best things you can do to move forward is drop the false humility and drop the pride. Like, be
yeah,
humble, man. Be
right,
humble.
right,
Drop it.
right.
Because what is what is getting in your way. And I've had this conversation with a lot of special people in my life that have very ambitious goals, but they're currently like very near the bottom. And I'm like, there's no such thing as too small.
Right.
Oh, but it's such a big goal. Yeah, it is. But
Yes.
did you do anything today? No. Why don't you do that? Oh, but that's nothing. I'm like, it's more than what you're doing now.
Right.
And if you just stick with it, like my YouTube channel is still in its early stages. But if I would have never got into, I made a goal. The first major goal I made for the YouTube channel when I hired my part-time employee, I said, Ernesto, we have to publish at least one video a day.
Love it.
At least. And that was and at the time, that was a stretch. Now we regularly publish between 2 to 3 videos a day, and it's only been 6 months, you
Wow.
know?
Wow.
So my point is that like you just gotta get the goal. And I'm probably gonna look back at this moment like next year or 5 years from now and be like, wow, like our channel was so small back then. But the fact that we kept going and
Right.
that we kept growing, we never stopped, you
Right. I
know?
love that. I love
But
that.
that's the point, is that you can always look back on your life and look at the Mauro of 5 years ago or the JC of 10 years ago. You know, it's a very different person than who you are now. You know, but that's because you kept going. You
Right.
know,
Right. Right.
you just got
Right.
to keep going.
You
That's
know,
how it
I
is.
I had this goal that I couldn't accomplish for years, and I wrote on my wall. I had several goals. One of the goals was to do 200 push-ups a day, right?
Damn, I love it.
And yeah, I had it up there. I'm like, I would see it, and I'm like, how am I gonna do that? And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try. And I tried for the first year, and of course, I dropped it within a week or two. I'm like,
Yeah,
second year, same thing. And only until the fifth year, I said, you know what? I have an idea. That idea of how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? I
there
said,
it is. Yeah,
if I just did, if I just do 20 push-ups today, at least I did something. And then I started thinking, how about if I put a deadline on it?
there you go. Yeah, there you go.
So that was the second important thing. I said, one, let's just do something small. So that's the first part. Number two, put a deadline. So I
Mm,
said, okay, if I can do 200 push-ups before 12 o'clock, then I'm good. And it doesn't matter. And I mentioned that to somebody else and said, well, it is, you spread it out, it doesn't count. It does count because it says 200 push-ups a day. I don't
right,
care how it comes.
right.
And then I was able to do 100. Then I got it up to 200
Hmm.
a day, and that was like from 8 o'clock to midday, right? And then I
Yeah,
said, you know what? Maybe I can do it before 9 o'clock. And I was able to get it 9 o'clock. And then it was like 1 hour. I said, 1 hour,
yeah.
we're going to do 200 push-ups. Guess what? Now I can do it every day. I go to the gym and I come back home and I do the 200 push-ups. I
There
can
you
do the
go.
push-ups at the gym, but I'm doing it because this is a goal on my wall and I'm able to accomplish it. So how did I do it? Small chunks. I ate one bite of the elephant.
There it is.
I put in a deadline. And the other thing that I was doing that was wrong the whole 5 years, I
What?
wasn't keeping track.
Ah, you weren't tracking
I
it. Yeah,
wasn't keeping track. It's like
yeah.
if you say you're going to read a book or something, you're going to do this, but you didn't keep track. You didn't keep
But
track of
you did.
you didn't keep
Yeah,
track of
yeah,
your spending. You didn't keep track
yeah.
of how many times you called the client. You didn't keep track of you know for your business. You got to keep
Uh,
track record. So what I
yeah,
did was I wrote it down because I didn't know if I did 3 or 4 or 5. I'm like, oh, I did something. No, now I
yeah,
know. So
yeah.
once you get 20 push up, strike. Then I get 5, line, another strike. And man, I tell you what, it works. It works.
I made a video. I made a video for how to overcome procrastination, and it's one of the most popular videos I have on my channel. And I got I got several people who were super thankful for it. You know,
Wow.
that they actually commented like, this is awesome." Like one of these guys, I got the nicest comment I got ever. It was like a paragraph, and I was like, it was so nice, you know, like. And so to go back to like the videos before about like people also criticizing me, I've also gotten a lot of nice things too. But two of the cheat codes that I mentioned, you mentioned them. There's a third cheat code to overcome procrastination with any goal. And the third cheat code, this is very helpful for people, especially if you're like me and you have ADHD. It's for ADHD people, there's two types of time. It's now or it's not now. So like if you're watching this video and you're procrastinating on something, and I cannot tell you how many times I've done this. I've done this with clients, I've done this with myself. Pause this video and go do it now. Go do it now. Like, don't wait. Oh, don't tomorrow at 7 a.m. Now. I cannot tell you how many times with clients that I have taken something. Oh, Mauro, I have procrastinated this for like 6 weeks. I'm like, what is it? Oh, I have to set a date for my exam. I'm like, can you do it right now? They're
I
like,
love it.
yeah, okay, let's go. What are you
Listen,
waiting for?
pause,
Like,
do it.
I had a client that was procrastinating to set up their exam to get their 220 license, and I'm like, dude, set it right now, and he
Do it
did.
now. Yep.
So I'm like, don't. Oh, I haven't signed up for it yet. Like, how long does it take? Like, oh, it shouldn't take me more than 10 minutes. Let's go.
We're not gonna talk until you're done.
Like seriously, right now? I'm like, yeah, right now. I mean, because it's what are you waiting for?
Right.
Like it's. But it's
Action.
just people. It's like especially if you have ADHD, like you're gonna
Right.
you can procrastinate it until forever. Like
Forever.
that- you know. Sometimes my wife, she's like, she'll tell me to do something, and sometimes I'll do it right away. She's like, "But Mauro, but you don't have to do it right now." I was like, "Yeah, I don't have to, but I know myself. If there's certain things that if I don't do it right now, it's not going to happen until next week. You
Yep.
want me to call the doctor? It's like you want me to set this appointment. You want me to do this for our son? Okay, I'll do all three of those things right now. But just don't bother me for 3 hours. But it's like, but that's the point. It's like it's better for me to pay the price once than
Yep.
to pay the price 3 times.
Right.
I'd rather pay the price once than pay it 3 times because those are things I don't want to do. So it's like you also have to know yourself. Know yourself. It's like I recently I lost my wallet, and my mom's like, "Do you want to go?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to go, but let's go look for it." It's like, and then it's like, okay, we're gonna spend 2 hours looking for the wallet. I'd rather spend 2 hours looking for the wallet than spend 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. So it's like just bite the bullet once.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a cheat code. Is
Yep.
do not do not stretch the suffering out any more than you need to. Can you just suffer once? Like just suffer once. And that's
100.
it.
Yes.
And then if
Yes.
you don't find it or if you don't get it done, then okay, at least that way you did your part and you move on with your life, and that's
Yes.
it.
Yes. 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 No, is that's 100. I mean, get things done, get it done now,
Get it
and
done now. Just do
get
it.
it done now. I tell you what, I mean, there's one time when I just finished eating. It was late at night, and I'm like, I didn't do my 200 push-ups. Then I said, oh, I can't do it now, but it was a block. I said, you know what? Let me at least do 20.
Let me do
As soon as
something.
as soon as I did 20, I said, okay, let me do another 20. I did 40. I'm
There you
halfway
go.
there.
Boom, there you're halfway. You're already
The,
there.
the
Oh, I might as well
magic,
finish
the
now.
magic sauce
Yeah.
is just to get started. Just do
Yeah.
something, one little thing. If you
Yeah.
can't eat the entire elephant, just eat a little bit, just a
Yeah.
little bit, and you can start.
Yeah.
If you start,
Well, yeah, and sometimes you'll surprise yourself. I've surprised myself with projects sometimes. I'll just sit down and I'll start doing one thing, and then by the time I realize it, I've done seven. It's
yes,
because let me do that one thing. And
Right.
there's a with everything, and this is one of the nuances in life. There's there's two sides to every story. There's pluses and minuses with everything, and a lot of people don't realize that, but people, genuinely, people who are very empathetic, they're also called pushovers, right? So you can look at it, you can look at the same attribute two different ways. You can be empathetic, or, oh, look, that guy's a pushover. Oh, you know what, that guy, actually, he gets me, he's really nice. So you just have to know when your limits are.
Right.
But you can look at a positive thing or a negative thing, and you can just have two spectators and they see two different things, but it's the
Right.
same, story happening
The
you
same
know
story, but two different
and
perspective.
so, what is one thing that you'd like to cover that we haven't covered yet? Is there something that we haven't covered that you really wanted to make sure we get covered?
Well, the only thing I would say is, let me see. I think I had a question. I think what was it? It was one of the. It was one
Well,
of the.
one of the things is we did talk about your specialty as a photographer. We
Yes.
talked about your secret sauce, and, well, I guess we didn't talk much about, like, your niche, but your
Yes.
niche, yeah,
Okay.
kind of did. And then the how would the photography help your business? I think, maybe, is that what the one you wanted me to ask you?
Um. Yes. Yes. I can talk about both of those things. So
Okay.
my niche is corporate headshots, corporate
Mm-hmm.
branding, corporate event, everything corporate.
Big one.
Everything corporate because I just love order. I love structure. I love clean look. My graphic design background has always been corporate look, never too wild and crazy. Maybe one day I'll be like Picasso and do the blue stage, but right now I'm only corporate and stuff. And I love everything about corporate. And right now the main thing that I'm looking to do is work with advertising firms because advertising firms allow me to be all that I can be, and corporate events allow me to do everything. And when you do corporate events, it allows me to actually perform in front of the owner, and a lot of people are looking at you. You may not know anyone is looking at you. I had an event one time where I was photographing, videotaping, and the DJ was the key person that was watching me.
Interesting.
He called me one day. He said, "Look, I saw the way you work, and I have a gig for you, and it's a big gig." And I'm like, "Look at
You
this.
never know who's watching, man. You
You
never
never
know who's
know."
watching. Yeah.
And the thing is that I wasn't doing it because I was believing somebody was watching me. I was
Right.
doing it because of the value that I wanted to bring.
Right.
And they saw all that I did, and I do a lot than a lot of people can think. And believe it or not, he made that judgment before he saw the photograph, before he saw the video. So it's my interaction with people and how I connect and communicate and all that. A lot of people say you need hard skills, but you know what's the most valuable skills are the soft skills. Are you pleasant to be around with?
Yeah.
Can you connect and talk to people? Are you presentable? Can you articulate and communicate? And do you have confidence enough to stand up and do your job? And these are some of the qualities that everyone can work on in their own home every day instead of being on their phone wasting time. Like
Yeah.
I tell my kids, look, build your own empire. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, build your own empire. You
It's
know,
never been easier.
yeah, read all
It's
the
never
books.
been easier.
Read books about confidence, read books about intelligence, read books about, how to do things and stuff. And, because not that you're hoping people can judge you, but just for your own self, be all that you can be. Because you know what? Just like Gary Vee says, you only have one life to live. Be all
Yeah.
that you can be. Be physically strong,
Yeah.
be mentally strong, be empathetic, and be pleasant. All these things.
Look, man, you don't need 10 skills. You really don't. You just need one. You need one hard skill. Something that can provide tangible and value that is not, how should I say, value that is not subjective. You need one hard skill that you can provide objective value. And then the other skills you need to build are basically sales skills. How
Oh,
can I be pleasant to be around and how can I sell this?
I love that.
You're better off, like you said, you're better off having one hard skill and 10 soft skills,
Yes.
because especially in today's economy, as we like to say, in today's economy, in today's market, in today, where it's like there's 20 people that all do the same thing and you're all sitting in the same room. You know who they're going to pick? They're going to pick the one that's either objectively better, but also pleasant to work with.
Pleasant.
Because if I if in generally speaking, once you have 10 years of experience, you're generally considered an expert in your field, generally speaking.
Mm, mm.
And if you have 10 experts in the field, well, this guy's 5% better, he's 5% worse. Yeah, but that guy's an asshole. No one wants to work with the asshole. Even if he is 10% better, nobody wants to work with that. Who wants to
Yep.
work with that?
Right.
You know, the only people who get away with that are the geniuses.
Yep.
They're
You
like,
got.
okay, that
Yep.
guy's an ass, but he's number one. But but how many number ones are there? Not
Yep.
many.
Yep.
Not many. They're few and far between. And most of the time, that's not you.
Right.
It's not you. You're not number one.
Right.
So you better be pleasant. And you
Right.
better be a good communicator and a good salesman. Because if
Yep.
not, yeah, you're not going to do well.
I can tell you, I graduated from art school, and when I graduated from art school, I was doing painting. And when I got out of college, they said nobody's doing that anymore. So I stopped. So I went into graphic design. I had to pivot,
You had to pivot.
and I had to pivot about 4 or 5 times to the point where I'm at now. But you know what was constant was me being pleasant, me being present and bringing value. Those are skills that will always set you apart. And when I was doing that, when I was doing graphic design, that set me apart. When I was doing web design, that set me apart. When I was doing coding, that set me apart. You know, now I do photography. Like I tell you, that DJ, he never even saw my work.
He
He
just saw
never saw
you.
my work.
Well, he
He
saw you.
he was so you know what he told me? He said, I have other photographers, but
There
I
you go.
wanted you.
Yeah.
And you know what? When I was done, he said the people were so happy with my work, with the new gig that he gave to me, which was a 3-day conference. They said that they were so thrilled. They want me to do more work.
There you go.
So imagine that. It's not the hard skill, it's a soft skill that's paying me.
This is why I tell a lot of new business owners. I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of people that want to pivot into being entrepreneurs, people that have worked in corporate forever. And I always tell people, the most important thing you can do is provide people an experience of what you have to
Ooh,
offer. And
yes,
do
yes,
not
yes,
and
yes.
do not be afraid of making it free. Because oftentimes, for two reasons. Number one, it's very hard to get your first client. Your first client will typically be, in most cases, the most difficult client you ever acquire, most of the time. The second thing is that you don't know who's watching. Because I can tell you there was one talk. Okay. This has happened to me many times, but I'm going to share this one story. There was one time at a professional event. It was a very niche event. It was called Catholic Young Professionals, CYP. Okay. This was their speaker had canceled last minute. Now I had spoken to the facilitator because I had gone to several of the events. I had offered to speak like 5 times, and the opportunity came. Mauro, can you step in? Sure. And I did. I got 2 opportunities to speak at Visa from
From that.
that and there's a client that I have right now who has been with me for almost 3 years
Wow.
from a talk that I gave as a gift.
Wow.
So
Wow.
my coach Berta Garcia says you can never outgive the giver. You
Wow.
know, never be afraid to give things. And you know what I like to do. I'm very big on language, so I don't say free. I say gift. I always say gift. Our first conversation is a gift. Don't worry, I offer this to you as a gift. I use the gift language.
I
I
love
don't
that.
say free, I use the gift language. This is a gift from me,
I like
you
that.
know? And I cannot tell you how many times, because of the fact that I give with an open hand, how many things have come my way. I've
Yeah.
lost, honestly, JC, I've lost count. I've lost count.
Wow.
I
Wow.
lost count.
Wow.
But you have to give. You
Yes.
have to give first.
Yes.
There's a reason why Christ says in the Bible, give to receive. There's a reason why we have that saying too. It's better to give than to receive.
Mm.
Because typically when you give, you will always get something back. And usually it's better than what you gave, you know?
But it's so rewarding to give. I tell you what,
It's its own reward sometimes too.
yeah, one time I was at church and my son, we saw this family that needed some help. I gave my son $3 and he came back and he gave it to them. He came back. He's like, I feel kind of weird. It felt kind of good. I'm like,
Yeah,
and that was so rewarding to hear him say that because it's like that feeling of feeling like you helped somebody is so good.
yeah, it is.
That in itself is a gift. Because you know what? At the end of the day, that's all we have. At the end of the day, that's all we can give is a gift.
No,
This world
and
is so hard. Everybody wants something for something, and when someone can just give something out of their heart, that's that's in its own reward.
one of the other lessons that I've learned in life is no matter what you're going through financially, never stop giving to God.
Mm,
Never. And I I cannot tell you how many times I have been rewarded for that, you know? And giving is not, yes, you do have to give financially, but I always tell people you have 3 resources. You have time, you have money, and you have energy, right? And if you can't always give money, that's fine because you have time and you have energy. So give away, give that way. Oh, I can't give $10 right now, but how can I? Can I? Because I can't tell you how many times it's like, hey, I can't afford your coaching, or I can't. I was like, hey, can you share this with somebody else?
love it.
Like, I can't go to your event, Marl. That's fine. Can you share it with like who do you think? Who do you know that would love to come to this event?
Yep.
I do that all the time.
Loved it.
Because you don't know,
Yeah.
what can come your way, but you've gotta be creative with how you give. One
Yes.
thing is for sure, everyone needs to give something.
Yeah.
If you're not giving something, you better start giving something right now because you're gonna have a very miserable life if you don't give. I tell
You
you
know,
right now,
I can
you're gonna be very miserable.
I'm 54 and I've seen this universe is crazy. I've seen it. Those that hold on to stuff, they end up losing it. Those who don't give, oh my God, much is taken from them.
Yeah,
I don't know how it is. Mauro, I'm telling you this
yeah,
is the truth. I've
I
seen it.
believe it.
I've
I know.
seen people and I know their personality. You know how I know is because I've seen the 20, 30 years. I've been in Miami long enough that I can watch people for 20, 30 years. And 20, 30 years later, I know their personality. I remember their personality from high school. I remember. And now I see the fruits of their labor.
You see
I
the
see
fruits of
the
their
ones
labor.
that
Yeah.
gave, and I see the ones that didn't give. And the universe has an answer for all of them.
I can give a personal example that only people that know me very well, that know me intimately, will know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention names. Or I'm not going to mention who they are.
No names.
But there was a couple that I knew, and they were together for a long time, and they had the opportunity to do so many adventures together. But one of them was not willing to stop doing something. One of them was not willing to do it. And then unfortunately the other person in the relationship ended up getting sick and died eventually.
Oh,
And they lost, I mean, how many memories they lost that they never got to build, decades worth, and I'll leave it at that. But it's very sad when you have someone that is just holding on to something very tightly, and they're not willing to let go, you know? So you
life is
you
final.
look, man, it happens, and it's rough, it's rough to see that,
Yeah,
especially when it's with people that you care about, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Like, you hold on to something, anything too tightly, it ends up being your demise. Most of the time, it will end up being your demise. The only thing that you should ever hold on to that tightly is God. It's probably, I was gonna say your spouse, but not even that. Not even that, man. The only thing that you should ever hold on to that tightly is the Lord.
Lord, your
Because
faith.
even your spouse and your kids, you got to let them go, man. You got to, they're
Yeah,
they're their own people, man.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know? Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Last year, I know we're probably over time. Last
Yeah.
year, I'm sorry about it.
It happens a lot on this podcast, don't worry.
Yeah, I, I'll say real quickly. I just lost my cousin.
I'm sorry, man.
No,
Yeah.
it's okay. And I just lost my cousin because for whatever reason, I asked him to live a better life and stuff. I don't know what it was, but the universe decided that it was time for him to go.
Time.
And there's a lot of part of me that I'm angry with him because I know he could have done better. But it's final. There's no going back. There's no. But this guy was amazing. He lived his life like what the saying is, like the star that shine brightest shines
The
uh
least.
the least,
Yeah, the least.
or doesn't last as
Yeah.
long, right? And he
Right.
shined bright. He lived his life. Like when he laughed, he laughed. When he ate his food, he ate his food.
You
Like,
could see it. Yeah.
yeah, he
Yeah.
lived his life, and I enjoyed being around him and stuff. And I had to learn to let him go. We're having the funeral for him soon and stuff, but there's a lot of stuff I had to let go and stuff, and uh, it's one of those things that I can say I did enjoy my time with him, and the little bit of time that I had, um, it was wonderful. And it's so sad when people would waste their time and not make a choice to live your life, because once death comes, like the man you're talking about, there's no going back. That
No,
person,
you don't get that time back, man. No.
if it's your mom and your dad and you don't say I love you, or your son, you,
Yeah.
you don't, your friend, you don't call them because you're angry, and you waste time and you waste time and you waste time, and before you know it, well, guess what, that person, the time is up, and that person's gonna die or pass away. um, and it's sad. A lot of us kind of lose out on opportunities that's blatantly in our face and stuff. I can
Yeah.
say that's never been the case for me in anyone. I've always, said everything that's on my mind. But there are times, yeah, there are times when you know we miss that opportunity, and I would encourage
Yeah.
everyone to don't miss
I
out.
mean, the other thing I tell people, and this I tell this to my clients and I tell this to my wife a lot, is like, if you if you're gonna make a choice that is suboptimal and you've already made it, then just own it. Like one of the I'll be honest with you, JC, like there are days where, yeah, I know I could have been more productive, or maybe I could have done this differently. But it's like, fudge, if I'm not gonna do that, then I'm not gonna kick myself in the ass about it. It's like, okay, if I chose today is the day where I'm gonna kick back and relax, then just own it. If you're gonna do that, then own it. But if you live like that all the time, it's very dangerous. Now, one of the paradox is this, is if you've already made a choice that's suboptimal and you have to deal with the consequences, then just make it as fun as possible. It's like,
Mm,
damn, I shouldn't have paid for that. It's like, well, if you can't return it, buddy, you better enjoy it, because you already paid for it. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, at that point, what's the point of kicking yourself in the rear about it? Just learn the lesson and move on.
Right.
Like, I one of the things that I'm doing right now is, my kid is my first son, right? He's only going to be this age now. Like, the time from 0 to 1 is a very unique experience, and I am perfectly okay with slowing things down and being more relaxed and spending time with him, and slowing my pace down of life, not being so stressed, so I could be more present with him. I'm totally okay with that. But I told myself, I'm making that choice. I'm not going to be, I used to wake up at 4 in the morning. Oh my God, the business is not, there's no point in that. What's the point? It's 4 in the morning, dude. Go back to sleep. So it's like, it took me a while to learn that lesson. But main point is this: if you've already made a choice and you can't go back on it, then just own it. Because you not owning it is making your life double worse. But if you have a pattern and you're making the same mistake over and over again, then you need to pay attention.
You need to
You
pay
know,
attention.
you
Yeah.
need to pay attention.
Yeah.
You know, or, and this is another thing that also, I'll end with this because I think it's an important lesson for people watching. If you've been struggling with something for a very long time and you're constantly fighting against it, and it's like sucking up so much of your energy and it never changes, then maybe you're approaching it the wrong way. You know, because one of the things that used to tick me off is I used to set, like, I would say, okay, from 12 to 1, you're going to sit down and you're going to work on your website for an hour. And every single time I wouldn't do that, it beat myself up. So I stopped setting up my life like that. I don't do things by time. I do things by task,
Mm.
because it was just such a stress.
I see
Oh,
what you're saying.
you only worked on it for 20 minutes.
Right.
You were supposed to work on it for an hour, but you only worked on it for 20 minutes. I stopped doing that to myself. It was causing so much pain and damage because I never felt fulfilled.
Mm.
Versus now, I say, send this email, do this thing, you
Mm.
know, call this person. So instead of looking at things from a time perspective, I look at things from a task perspective.
Love that.
Sometimes I don't even put a label on it. You know, sometimes
Yeah.
I just write down what I want to work on, and I just allow myself to go with it. Ironically, I have been so much more productive ever since then. So like sometimes you have to like learn from people and look at their systems. But if you're trying so hard to fit a square peg into a circle, you're gonna get tired, man. It happened
Yeah.
to me.
right.
Ever since I got my diagnosis with ADHD, I have completely changed the way that I do things, and it has been so helpful. So
Interesting. Wow,
so
wow,
so so so, so helpful.
wow,
Yeah,
wow.
I'm
Okay.
more productive now than I ever have been. You
Wow.
know, even though I spend less time doing things, which is
Right.
really fun. You
That's
know,
crazy. That's
so
crazy.
yeah, man, it's like sometimes you gotta just like you
Change
have
your
to be a
approach.
little bit more flexible with yourself.
Right,
Sometimes
right,
that's the answer.
right, right.
Yeah.
I
How
love
can
that.
people get in touch with you, JC?
Yes, people can get in touch with me through my website, Biename Studio, and that name is so hard to spell, but it's B as in boy, I as in index, E as in echo, N as in Nancy, A as in apple, I as in index, M as in Mary, E as in echo, studio.com, or Instagram's Biename Studio 8, and they can find my information that way. So, Mara, thank you so much for allowing me to talk about myself
Yeah.
for this time. A lot of people say I talk too much, so I tortured you. No,
No, honestly,
thank
I
you so
my
much.
goal for this podcast was to allow the audience and for the guests to reveal their who they are. So that way, if it's like if you want to hire a photographer, yeah, you can hire you can just go online. But if you want to learn about the man who is behind the camera, like this is what this podcast is for, and yeah, of course we always link people's. We have authors come on here. We've had so many different entrepreneurs. We've had people who sell insurance. We've had board game publishers. We've had all sorts of.
Nice.
My point is that we did this so that way people can take the time to explain who they are
Right.
and why they do what they do.
Mm.
That's the whole point.
Oh
So
man.
there's no such thing as talking too long on this podcast because at the end of the day, if people like it, they'll watch it. If people want to watch some of it, they can watch the YouTube shorts. That's fine. You
Right.
know. But what I never what I never wanted to happen on this podcast was people feeling like, oh, I really wanted to say that, but I couldn't. And then
Mm.
I say to them, no problem, you can come back. Come back next time.
Love
We've
it.
already had repeat guests on the show anyway.
Awesome.
So if
Yeah,
there's
I love to
something that
come
you
back.
want to say, don't worry, man. We'll get you next time. Come
Yeah, I
back.
love to come back
Come back.
because there's a ton
Yeah.
of stuff we need to talk about too,
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
excellent.
man. We want people to feel at home. This is your new home, man. You're always welcome to come back.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Mark, congratulations on your podcast. And this looks great. I know you and I had talked before, and I know you were going to talk to my son. I know one day maybe that might happen, but I enjoy this conversation we had. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah. It was a joy to have you on. And well, everyone, you heard it here first. JC, thank you so much for your time, for your talent, for your treasure, for your energy. And everyone, please feel free to support JC, follow his content. We're going to link everything in the description down below. Check out the comments and check out the video description and support JC however you can. As you've seen, he's a man of true integrity, very talented man, and check out his portfolio. So until next time, everyone, keep adventuring because remember, you're the hero of your own story. We'll see you next time.
Love
Take
that.
care.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, JC.
Bye.
Bye.